This is a weekly news segment from the Show versus Business podcast. Enjoy. Still working out how to really get that group dynamic going on. So we'll
Uh-oh.
we'll,
Uh-oh.
we'll talk off air a little later.
Yeah, don't you know me, man. I get paranoid. Don't say too much.
Oh man, here we go.
I'm the business guy, man. Don't give all your ideas for free. So I love it, man. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. So with that being said, let's transition to the news. So, speaking of conferences, one conference that's coming out, Netflix announced this recently. It's kind of interesting. The Witcher, the TV show, which came out, premiered about a year ago. So it's coming out with season two, and Netflix released a teaser for the season two, but also announced they're going to do a Witcher Con, a virtual Witcher Con starting July 9th. Are you there for that, Ben? You ready for that content?
No. It's The
They're gonna
Witcher.
make Witcher a thing. They're gonna make Witcher a thing. I have a feeling, man. It's gonna sneak up on us one day, and then you're gonna have people just like this the next Game of Thrones, and I'm like you're gonna have your mother-in-law and you're gonna have your wife all watching it. All of a sudden, you're like, wait a minute, what? Are you serious?
Witcher's fine. I guess it falls in the category to me of like, a better version of Doctor Who. Um, Xena warrior princess kind of area. That's what it falls into me, and I think it's fine. It can have its group and everything. It's just something I'm not really peeping out for, just because of the style of it. It's not terrible at all, but I don't know.
It was well, two things you said about that. Xena warrior princess. Oh wow, you took it back, brother.
Mm,
Took it back.
mm.
That was some painful stuff, man.
I
But there's some fans, man. People love that show, man. People love that show.
I mean, that Hercules and all that. You don't see a kind of a parallel in the styling and the
Oh yeah,
audience.
real hokey. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Good point. But obviously the production values are a lot better now than they were when Xena was doing syndication,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And Hercules, and Young Hercules with young Ryan Gosling. I remembered all those shows, man. Those are some crazy shows back then. And then there was another one. It was like a spinoff with Gina Torres from Firefly. She it was they were some
Mm,
warrior woman, and it was the same producer pretty much. It was pretty the same kind of concept, warrior
yeah.
women beating up people, but they were from the future.
So this has enough of an underground following that if you remember in Entourage when drama's whole fame came from that little show that was kind of like Xena that he was on. This is the direction The Witcher is going in to me.
Man, I don't know, man. I can see it could potentially make the leap, man, because the thing I'm impressed by them, the world building, they have a lot of extensive world building, right?
Hmm.
But the first season was needlessly confusing,
Okay.
right? Unless because the way they introduced everything, you didn't realize that after the fact that it was like three different timelines you were watching, right? But they didn't explain that well enough. So it wasn't until after you read all the after shows and you got looked at it, gets, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to do, right? But so hopefully season two can make the leap where it all kind of makes sense, right? And so the three different storylines, I think, they were all, it seemed like they were all told in the same timeline, but they weren't, right? And so
Okay.
so the goal is to kind of maybe bring all these three characters together and hopefully it'll make more sense. So that's the goal, but
Okay. So
we'll see.
I'm down for it. I am not a person to throw something in the trash after the first season. I will let it sit and wait for people to tell me to come back to it, but I won't throw it in the trash completely. But you said they're having some type of special virtual con for this. How is that going to work?
I have no idea, man. I
Oh.
just saw the news and said, what to talk about it. True story, man, being very transparent. I have no Netflix is going to try to do some interesting things. I don't know if they're going to try to, post it on their site or anything like that. It's kind of one of those things where Netflix is just, this is experimenting, man, because they got so much money and they got so much content and they're trying to keep you on that. As a matter of fact, I think I sent it to you, or maybe I read it, but actually had an article that happened about, I think it was like a month or so ago, where they actually went into the algorithm and why they can't. I think you sent it to me, yeah, on
Hmm.
our chat window, about why they're, canceling content and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, it's not so much if it's, yes, people may watch it, yes, it may be like the most downloaded, show, but it's like a weird mix of like, it's got to also bring in new viewers, it's got to get enough outside understanding and traction that more people want to come to the show, come to the Netflix,
Yeah,
as opposed to keeping the audience. If they don't see it's going to grow beyond its current audience, then no matter how big the audience is now, they don't care. It's got to continue to grow. If they don't see it after 2 seasons or even 1 season, it's off the air. So,
yeah,
um, The Witcher, I think they see potential there, and so they're putting a little bit more money beyond just the show itself. So that's interesting.
yeah,
So we'll see what they want. That's why I said it may make that leap, but being Netflix, we talked about this before. Do they have the DNA to make quality content? And that's the question.
yeah. I think they're giving established or external brands a little more leeway, as opposed to their originals. So we'll definitely see there.
Don't tell that to Mark Millar, man.
Oh, right.
Jupiter's Legacy, but which got canceled after 1 season.
Yeah,
But
but I don't know. It's going to be interesting though with these with the mini cons or the small scale virtual cons that you can do with people. I think that's really really interesting. And I can say that's a thing because I watch people like T Pain and Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg. They'll have these little virtual events that nobody knows about until all of a sudden their hashtag is trending. It's like, wait, what was going on? Oh, it was like all day,
Mhm.
man. T Pain was just online for the entire day. He was sending out stuff and giving gifts and
Hmm.
hanging out. And like, oh, I had no idea. So I don't know. Maybe they can catch that wave. It should be cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I hope they do something good. I like Henry Cavill, and hopefully, that's his baby now, and so he's going to take the reins, hopefully with the help of Netflix. So, there's Netflix is scrappy little streamer, but I hope they do well, man. so, so moving on, Black Panther 2, man. So we already talked about this, the title Wakanda Forever, but they just cast someone who is not from Wakanda, Namor. Namor.
Gasp.
Gasp. So Namor the submariner, man. Do you want to give a high level overview of who this dude is, or you want me to kind of talk a little bit about him?
Okay. Well, in short, he's if you're not thinking about comics, he's just the Marvel version of Aquaman. Now, obviously, that's really diminishing who this guy is because he's definitely his own character. But Prince Namor, the whole Atlantis thing, it still exists in Marvel, kind of as it does in DC. But the important part is not where he comes from. It's just how the character behaves and acts. Instead of being, you know, I guess friendly with the good guys, he's kind of, an
Say it.
antagonist to a lot of.
Say it. Say it.
He's a.
He's an asshole. He's
Oh
an
yeah, there we
asshole.
go. An asshole. Yeah, that's kind of it. But interesting. He has a deep history with Wakanda, Captain America, and Iron Man. So there are plenty of stories and tales they could pull in to make this whole thing happen. But I don't know. I'm excited for this, man. Let's. I want to see it. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was a Namor fan until like a comic book series called the Illuminati kind of premiered, and we'll talk about a little bit later when we get into Loki. But he is. I think he was one of the first like Marvel superheroes that popped up in the early days. And then I did not know this. Obviously, he's from Atlantis. He's half Atlantean, but he's also a mutant, so that's why he can fly too. So it's kind of weird. So he's got like an Atlantean and he's a mutant at the same time. So I'm like, sure, whatever floats your boat. So he like you said, he's always trying to, do right for his people, but he's a little bit of an asshole. He's kind of got that king complex, right? You're my subjects, you do what I say, but he's never really, done anything crazy. But I guess there's been some ruckus between him and T'Challa, right? Over the years, and they had like a big series, comic book series when they went to war, Wakanda and Atlantis. So it's going to be interesting to see how they kind of introduce him. So I'm glad they're kind of thinking, man, in Feige we trust. We talk about it, we might as well just go ahead and get t-shirts. But we we I think, he knows what he's doing. I mean, obviously we lost, a great actor in Chadwick Boseman, and we're probably not gonna have T'Challa. We will not have T'Challa for a while in the Black Panther kind of world of MCU. So it's just good to kind of create, something different, right? And so I think this is a good start. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know if you watch Narcos at all, but I used to watch that all the time on Netflix. That's what the actor, his name is Tinoch Coretta,
Hmm.
and he came from that show. And so Narcos is a great show. It talks about basically the drug war, right, from Mexico to from Colombia. They even had Pablo Escobar show up in the first couple of seasons. So anyway, so we'll see where this goes, but I'm excited, man.
Cool.
So moving on, let's see. Real quick, we this is show versus business, so it's kind of an interesting take. We got our very own real world Iron Man contentions. We always talk about, or excuse me, competition going on in the real world business world. We always talk about Elon, right, and what he's doing, right. He's always trying to be in the in the forefront, doing dead things, showing up on Saturday Night Live, getting shout outs to Dogecoin, so, and going to space and talking about the killer AI that's coming. Well, Jeff Bezos, the soon to be retired CEO of Amazon, he's putting his bid in, right, to be the next Iron Man for the real world, and he's actually going to space next month. I'm sorry to be the laugh, but it's just, dude, don't you have enough money where you can just pay someone to take your place for the first launch? But anyway, needless to say, and to even I guess increase the likelihood of an accident, he put an auction out there for people who want to go with him to space,
to
and
increase
someone
the
won.
likelihood of an accident.
And someone won, and they paid $30 million to go with Jeff Bezos into space next month. Uh, I don't know. I got so many thoughts on this, but what's your quick reaction on this one?
Hey man, that's it's quality control. If you ever, when we used to work at Rockstar Games, it's like, hey, we're doing another demo. We're like, all right, and just kind of nod our heads and keep going about our business. And then they say, Sam Hauser and Dan Hauser are going to be coming down to play this game in front of some Sony representatives, and you're going to be in the same room. Suddenly, it's like, oh, okay, there are real people on this flight, not just secondhand background NPCs. So when you put Bezos on a flight, suddenly it's like, hey, y'all better get those temperature regulating plates on the side correct so the fuel gauge doesn't overblow, and yeah,
Hmm.
we don't want any
I mean,
accidents.
I mean, I haven't seen the details of exactly what the space flight would entail, but I'm assuming it's just going to be just going up high enough above the ionosphere, and then come back down. I don't see it like doing an orbit or anything like that, right? But yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I mean, sure, Jeff Bezos. I mean, man, bravo to you, man. You're like the richest man, or vying for the richest man in the world. And, and you got a new girlfriend, just divorce your wife. Why not, man? Live
Hey,
your life, brother.
speaking of going places and Namor, why aren't more people going underwater instead of into the space? I don't know.
Yeah, good point, man. Talk to your boy from Titanic, man, James Cameron. I think he was the foremost to say, "Hey, we gotta explore the underseas and all that." But
Oh yeah.
that's interesting. I don't know what's going on. I think space is obviously Elon kind of put his mask on there, and he talked about it, for a while, about we need to be an interplanetary species. And then of course you got Richard Branson, from Virgin Atlantic, and all that. And so he's trying to get out there, and now you got Jeff Bezos, right, with Blue Origin. So I mean, I'm a space guy. I actually did an intern at NASA, not to pump my own horn, but so, but yeah, I've always been a space guy. So I'm intrigued about what they want to do. And then also we didn't talk about this in the news. we didn't put this on the show notes, but you remember there's been a lot of stuff in the news about UFO sightings. I don't know if you
Yeah.
saw that in the last couple of day
Oh,
weeks,
yeah, when's that re
and
there's a
so
report that's supposed to be coming out soon, right?
I don't know, but I know that a lot of guys have been, quote unquote, qualified military personnel have seen unseen objects, right, in space, or when they've been flying up there, right, and seeing some things. So look, I mean, sure, I guess I'm pretty sure there's probably alien species out there. I mean, but I think it's one of those things where uh it's like the least of my problems. I got 99 problems and the alien ain't one. So it's kind of like, I mean, what's the point?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, when it comes, it comes. So, but I give it to the billionaires that I guess they're bored or they're looking for ways to get out of this planet just in case something happens. So we just got to keep an eye out what they do so that, if they leave us behind all of a sudden, they just disappear. We know what happened or something's going to happen to this planet.
Yeah. I'm making a note to finish watching The Expanse, so, alright,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll cover that. Yeah, that would be
moving
good to kind of
moving
catch up
on.
on that. Yeah. So yeah, this is the game side, man. I know you had some thoughts about Roblox and then E3, man. What are your thoughts there in the news lately with what's going on with music publishers
Alright,
and Roblox?
so everybody is streaming right now, doing their online live things, their Twitch streams, their YouTube lives, their IGTV lives, etcetera, etcetera. Everybody's getting on doing their thing. But what's um, what's also happening is that music publishers and other intellectual property owners are doing is they're coming after all these streaming platforms for playing their music illegally. If you've ever followed YouTube, you know about copyright strikes. If there's some music playing in the background, YouTube can demonetize you and send all the money that you would have gotten on your video to the copyright owner. They can, shut your channel down, shut your account down. So, yeah, if you go to check your Gmail or whatever, and some video from 6 years ago had, I got five on it playing in the background, and you get a copyright strike years later, you could be locked out of your Google account entirely. I mean, stuff can happen. So, what's happened recently is music publishers have started coming after Roblox, and Twitch has already, they've already dealt with Amazon, and they're coming after you that way. So basically, it's we're going into a new era where we're as content creators, as people online, as your regular, you know, Sally and Joe, you've got to deal with all these copyright issues now. It's a strange world, but I mean, it makes sense.
No, dude, that's very well said. I mean, I'm just looking at Roblox market cap is 52, almost $53 billion, and I think their stock is at, as last I checked here, is about $92, which is obviously a high for when they opened up around 60. A couple months ago, so they got money, sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So someone's got that money. It's the music industry, or somebody's going to come get a piece.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, my kids are on Roblox and they were listening to what's his name, Lil Nas X, right?
Hmm.
I guess you go now. Some of they have sanctioned worlds, as creators, and then they kind of some of the artists do sanction, their content to be playing there. But they knew all the songs for like Drake, and I'm like, where are you listening to this from? Oh yeah, on Roblox. I'm like, what's going
Yeah,
on over there?
yeah.
So I mean,
TikTok made headway when it actually integrated music licensing and music, the choice of music into their app. So it's not like you had to play some random song. You could actually go to an option inside TikTok, select, hey, I want to play this music, and automatically it gives you like a 30-second clip. It's calculated, tabulated, recorded, and music companies are using this as a way to figure out what's hot right now, what people are listening to. They're using it as a way to break new artists even. So yeah, some new artist could become hot, and you're like, where did that come from? It's like, oh, he's all the rage on TikToks and Roblox, son. Where you been? It's like,
yeah, yeah, they use that for negotiation on points and all that kind of stuff. But to be fair, musically, remember that was out there first, and that was the one that I think they had a lot of algorithm stuff that
Mhm.
TikTok just basically appropriated, right, and put into their system. So I don't know if Musically had that licensing type technology, but it sounds like
I
that was, in the basis of it, in the
Yeah,
guts
and
of it.
for those of you who don't know, TikTok is basically the next version of Musically. If you're wondering where Musically went, um, legal ownership, name, branding, uh, change of hands, and all that, corporate restructuring, whatever you want to call it, all that happened all at once. And next thing you know, TikTok pops out the other end. So it didn't just come from nowhere. Um, and they totally revamped the algorithm side of it and the licensing side. So I wasn't on Musically early. I can't tell you how above the board they were, but yeah, TikTok is that next iteration of that.
Well, I wouldn't say they're above the board. I mean, it's still owned by Chinese,
Oh well,
government. So,
that's
so who knows exactly what they're doing? Well, we know exactly what teenagers like to listen to, and so when we need to do something, we're ready.
right, right. Definitely not above the board in that sense.
So,
Owned by the Chinese, and no one knows what they're doing with all this massive amounts of data that they're collecting.
yeah, their servers are actually even in I think in mainland China. So anyway, we'll do some deep dives on that, but security is going to be a key thing maybe in the future for TikTok. So and then we talked about conferences too, man. E3, man. Any high level thoughts on E3? You excited about it?
Now, see, this is why I get upset with the game industry when there's something that they should be doing and they don't. Um, you got a virtual E3 and a bunch of game developers couldn't come up with something exciting, and that pisses me off. Um, it's like it's virtual. What's going on? Oh, there's going to be another Halo. It's like, man, you think is that it? That's all you got? Y'all are supposed to be innovating in this virtual space, and you got people like Travis Scott and Fortnite making all the innovations. Man, get out of here.
So long story short, you're not hype at all for the virtual E3.
I mean, once again, it's just some videos I can watch later. People stopped going to E3 when it was in person because it was just let me get a bunch of people in an auditorium, play a video, and say, "Hey, this is great." That's not how E3 started. E3 started as all these parties, actual. It was actually a lot of the conference sessions. You would get down and talk with people, make deals. There was a lot more of that going on. There were um, there was a lot of swag you could pick up, exclusives like they had for Comic Con or whatever. You would come out of there with jackets, with chains. Um, I remember the year Konami released a vinyl album and people were fighting
Oh,
over it.
nice.
I sold mine for a couple $100 on eBay. Holla, you know.
Come up.
But yeah, this you figure these guys would be able to do something awesome with the digital space, and the industry really beats up on a lot of the people trying to make something new and different. And it's sad that it has to be games where that's the case, but that is the case. So
Yeah, for virtual, there's some innovations coming in virtual space. I mean, it may not be coming from the conference coordinators themselves for these different conferences, but check out like startups like Hopin, Hopin. They're trying to do some interesting things where you can kind of pop in. They can create like virtual, meetups with everyone, random meetups, so you can have one-on-one with folks. So there's some startups that try to do some interesting things. There's one startup that just got like tons of money. I can't remember their name right now, but I'll show, maybe put it in show notes, but they are trying to do some interesting things there where they got like random, we talked about just kind of lucky kind of connections, and so they're trying to create that in a virtual atmosphere where I'm like talk I'm on one form, and then I can talk to somebody randomly, right? Oh yeah, you like Thor, I like Thor, oh let's talk. So they're trying to create these kind of random meetings, right, to kind of get people excited in the virtual experience. So we'll see, it's going to be interesting.
thank you so much for listening to this segment of the Show versus Business podcast. We want to bring you a relevant and fresh perspective every week. So please subscribe, check out our other videos, and definitely share your thoughts below. Peace.